Hey guys, so I've heard from a little eagle on the load screens that some of you guys are struggling with defense. So I thought I'd make a video to try to help some people out. Before we get into it though, I'd like to start off by thanking the community over at Wiki for all their research and hard work. I was able to find lots of helpful information to help improve my video for you guys. I highly recommend visiting the Wiki for information on the game, and I'll be linking their defense page in the description of this video. Now let's improve our defense. First off, let's go into the basics. Normal block. So we'll start off the video with knowing how to block. Hold back, up back, or down back to block attacks. Down back will be your primary choice for most scenarios since it blocks unseeable lows. Most overheads in this game are reactable, so you'll have time to stand up to stop them. This might take some time to build up your reactions, so just keep playing and working on it. If you get really good at blocking, you can start practicing instant blocks. Instant blocking is blocking an attack near the very last second, and it can alter the frames of a move on block, making certain things more punishable. The actual window for instant blocking is 2 frames. The game will flash text that says, "just," if you instant blocked correctly. There are certain moves in Guilty Gear Strive that guard crush. They'll usually continue to try to pressure you after getting you to block one of these. Remain calm and focus on your defense when taking a guard crush. Another thing to remember is that some attacks leave your opponent on an advantage when they're blocked. Not to the same level as a guard crush, but it's good to know they exist in case you wonder why your buttons don't seem to be any options after blocking their attack. Now on to a concept called punishing. There are many times where you'll block an attack and you can actually get something guaranteed for blocking it. This is what we call a punish. This game will even label the punish for you if you land it properly. And remember, all these punishes will add up in the end, leading to tons of damage if the opponent is playing risky or unsafe. Sometimes you won't even have to open up an opponent. They'll simply lose to punishes. I highly recommend building a mindset around landing punishments, especially early on, to help you understand how to better control the pace of the game. Typically in many fighting games, most new players will focus more on offense and those fancy big boy combos, and they'll usually just end up overlooking the defense side of the game entirely. But building a solid defense and incorporating punishment will be a great foundation into allowing you to use more of your offense. Okay, so let's talk about Faultless Defense, or FD for short. Faultless Defense consumes tension, also known as meter, to change block properties. To use Faultless Defense, hold back, down back, or up back along with any 2 attack buttons that aren't dust at the same time. Using Faultless Defense will typically add more pushback to blocked attacks, leaving you with more space to breathe and even gaps in certain block strings. Learning to use Faultless Defense is crucial at helping you out of certain situations. Right here, you'll see the power of Faultless Defense against the much hated Maze Dolphins. Otsugeki! On a side note, using Faultless Defense also makes you recover from block stun 2 frames slower. You want to make sure you don't overuse or spam Faultless Defense. Remember, this thing costs meter and sometimes it might make some moves unpunishable due to the pushback it applies or the increased block stun recovery. And yes, if you're wondering about the little thing called instant block we talked about earlier, you can combine Faultless Defense and instant block together for the ultimate defense. Another great aspect of Faultless Defense would be its resistance to chip damage. So right here, if you don't use Faultless Defense, may you rest in peace, you're dead. But if you use Faultless Defense, as you can see, it lets you live to see another second of gameplay. Remember to use Faultless Defense, especially in these types of scenarios, to keep pushing forward. You don't keep your tension for the next round, so if you need it to survive the chip damage, use it. From here on out, I hope to hear that Faultless Defense is going to become one of your greatest allies in the battlefields. To get a more in-depth look at Faultless Defense, I'll be linking a video by SonicSol in the description below where it's explained in greater detail. Okay guys, all we've talked about so far is blocking, guarding, and being a big turd overall. But there are consequences to this. If you spend too much time blocking, your RISC or risk gauge goes up. And let's just say this is a type of meter that you don't want to build. If you're blocking while jumping, your risk gauge will build up even faster. So try to make sure that you're going on the offensive every now and then to keep it from getting full. Otherwise, when you finally get hit, it'll feel like a bomb went off. And not one of those Faust bombs, but a big boy bomb. You're able to use Faultless Defense so that you don't gain any risk buildup on block. So the risk meter is just as the name implies. A risk for being too defensive. You have to attack and defend. Keep a balance between the both. You gotta have the yin and the yang. On to the wonderful Yellow Roman Cancel, also known as YRC. This one's one of my favorites. I've actually met many players who didn't realize that this existed, so they never used it. So let me talk about it briefly here. The Yellow Roman Cancel is super important. To use it, you'll need to press any 3 attack buttons that aren't dust at the same time when you're blocking an opponent's attack. It'll use 50% of your tension bar to stop an opponent's block pressure. This thing packs quite a punch as well, so normally you're pretty safe to start on your offense after the opponent gets hit by it. If the opponent is careful with their offense, they can potentially block and punish the Yellow Roman Cancel. Think of the Yellow Roman Cancel as a high-risk, high-reward pause button for the opponent's offense. It lets you get a little break, and it'll give you the chance to escape pressure or start your own. And when it comes to guard crush moves, you cannot Yellow Roman Cancel during the guard crush state. So when you guys swing him back and he's like, oh! Yeah, you can't yellow RC that, so don't try. And as a fellow Potemkin player, I like to sneak in a good old pop buster when I get the chance. Alright guys, my friends, I gotta get a little serious with you here. I'm seeing a whole lot of jump-ins and air dashes to keep offense going. But I'm noticing lots of people aren't using jumps and dashes as a defensive option. So these tools go both ways. You can backdash and use your jumps to get away from an opponent instead of using it to always approach them. For example, you're stuck in the corner. You just got knocked down and now you have to get up to eat pressure. You have a feeling a command throw is going to land on you when you get up. So what can you do about it? Jump defensively. Hold up back to jump up and block in the air. This will avoid all ground throws and it will block attacks. This is a strong defensive option, but don't be too predictable with it. Use it when you need it or when you want to change up your wake-ups. And as I mentioned before, dashes can be used defensively as well. Use backdashes to create space and gaps between you and your opponents. Sometimes you can even cause your opponent to miss their attack and then you get to hit them instead. This is called a whiff punish. Using dashes to create whiff punishes will help you excel in the neutral game. However, don't dash too many times in a row or you'll get a negative penalty where you lose all of your tension. For those of you who have seen my throw guide, you know the power of the throw. Let's talk about using throws defensively. You can catch the opponent with throws if you find a gap in their offense. Remember, throws come out at the speed of light in Guilty Gear Strive, that being 2 frames. You just have to go find the right spacing and timing to squeeze one in and turn the tides in your favor. can even use throws to avoid certain moves or mix-ups on some characters. For example, if Leo goes for the side switch after you've blocked his attacks, you can land a throw to stop him in his tracks and gain momentum for yourself. There are a couple interactions similar to this one for you to explore on the roster. Who knows what kind of undiscovered situation there is left to be seen. If you want to do a hard call out on an opponent who's going to attack you, you can choose to use a reversal. Reversals are typically used right when you wake up to counter pressure from an opponent. The game will flash reversal text at you when you do this as fast as possible. In Guilty Gear Strive, some characters have attacks that give them invulnerability frames in the form of an uppercut. In fighting games, these are usually called DPs or Dragon Punch. You can use a DP to snuff out an opponent's attack using your invulnerability to beat their speed. These types of moves are usually pretty high risk to throw out on block, and will get you blown up for getting a wrong guess if the opponent is paying attention. Try your best not to get predictable with your reversals so that way they can keep their effectiveness. Most of the supers in Guilty Gear Strive will also provide invulnerability, so they can effectively be used as a reversal or counterattack. Like I said before, be super careful with this type of stuff so that you don't die to punishes against your high risk reversals. When you're fighting someone and you have them in a nasty combo, sometimes they'll pop like a glorified bubble and send you flying 100 meters away. This is called burst. There's a blue burst and a gold one. They're fueled by the blue burst gauge up top by your health bar. To use burst, you have to press dust plus any other attack button. Once you've used it, you'll have to wait until you have the blue burst gauge filled up before you can do it again. You just can't spam that thing, alright? So there are differences between the two colors of burst. The blue burst comes out if you activate it while being hit or blocking. It'll send the opponent flying away and basically reset the situation. You won't take damage from the attack you bursted against. Gold burst happens when you use burst in a neutral state. If you hit the opponent with gold burst, you get your tension filled completely. Something to take note of is that burst can be blocked. Be careful with your burst timing because some opponents will try to bait out your burst so that they can continue to combo you. You can use the gold burst to get more tension and the blue burst for getting out of pressure. That about sums up the basics of defense in Guilty Gear Strive. I hope you were able to learn something new from this video and that it helped you out in some way. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a like and don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep up with the videos I'll be rolling out. If you have any questions or things you'd like me to cover, leave a comment for me and I'll check it out. As always, thank you for watching and have a good one.